was rather wonderful.
It's the most prominent, dominant bomb spy, so pay homage.
How did you know she was a Nazi? She talks in her sleep.
We're going to be doing one thing, and one thing only. Killing Nazis.
From the crypt.
So, Lee, you tasked me with doing this movie.
I did?
Yes, you did.
I did.
No, Chuck
No, you
did.
didn't. It was Lee.
No, Chuck did.
No,
I
he
tasked
didn't.
you with watching all three of them. So
You,
you can
no,
do this
no,
movie.
no. A month ago, when we got on here, you weren't even looking at me. So, Will, you're doing The Last Crusade, and then you just kind of laughed and went off and did something else. Chuck said nothing about this. This was all you. You made me do this movie. So, explain why. Explain your history with this movie, because I have none. This is my first time going through an Indiana Jones movie. So, go nuts. I'll save my thoughts for later.
I'm sorry, but I beg to differ. I think Chuck should respond to you here.
Okay, go ahead, Chuck.
What am I responding to? Why did Lee task you with doing this podcast?
Yeah,
Well,
there you go. Yeah, why did Lee task me with doing this podcast? Since I can't ask Lee, I'll ask you. There you go.
because this is Han Solo's dreams while he was frozen in carbonite. that's Lee's reasoning behind all of it.
So,
however,
despite the fact that the movie takes place in 1938, and
a long time ago
in a galaxy far, far away.
Yeah, he's dreaming of the future.
He's dreaming
really
of the future,
far away
on Earth.
With
in the Outer Rim.
Yeah.
Nazis.
He's in Jabba's palace. He's in Jabba's palace, and he's dreaming about Nazis. Okay.
Pretty ones that talk in their sleep.
That's twice already.
That's so disturbing.
It's my favorite line in the entire movie.
That is so disturbing. This is so disturbing for so many reasons.
It's super funny though. How do you know? Like, what do you mean? How do you?
All right.
So I'll be honest. I grew up on this trilogy.
Okay.
The three Indiana Jones movies. I appreciate them. I like them.
Okay.
There was also a TV show of
Young Indiana
Jones, who was played by when Indy was played by what's his name from Boondock Saints.
Neil Patrick Flannery.
Yes, Powder.
Sean Patrick Flannery.
Sean Patrick Flannery.
Not Neil Patrick Harris.
Neil
Patrick Flannery. Sean Patrick Flannery.
Big
Doogie
difference.
Howser. So I like Indiana Jones. I like the whole thing. Even when they did the new one, the Kingdom of Crystal Skulls, which was stupid. The storyline maintains the same in history and stuff like that. For me, it's very nostalgic. I think there's some great lines in it. I love, the fact that it's the Last Crusade. It's what makes archaeology. Except for the fact that Raiders of the Lost Ark is actually what makes archaeology, not finding the cup of Christ or the chalice in this one.
Mm-hmm.
Basically this is another elixir of finding the whole story of finding eternal life by the well of souls or whatever you want to call it. They do it and everything like that. But I think it was just, I enjoyed the movie primarily because I think it was just, for me, it's like I said, it's nostalgic and it's just super fun. And I like Indiana Jones.
Okay.
Will does not like this movie.
Lee, please. Your thoughts on this movie.
So I believe I watched Raiders of the Lost Ark for the first time in school. Like, I feel like I watched it in like 5th or 6th grade. The teacher, like, I don't even know if it was our teacher or it was like a substitute. And he's like, when they roll in the roll in the old tube TV on the cart and you go, here we go, or sometimes they'd have like the laser disc one Remember the laser discs that they would bring in sometimes? You're like, we have
Yep.
laser discs? Like, what is this about? These giant DVDs, size of vinyl records, like 33s.
Ridiculous.
It was nuts.
That
And
didn't last long.
I know I'm jumping off for a second. I think the coolest thing is if you watch Back to the Future 2, again, when they first show up and they like, we got to put Jennifer somewhere. They put her, they like pick her up and they bring her over towards like a bunch of like compacted trash. In that is a bunch of CDs and laser discs that are in the compacted trash, because that's around the time that laser discs and CDs, well, I mean, CDs are a little bit longer, but laser discs were just coming out. And they were thinking that was like just going to be a common thing that people would see and eventually either move on from, or it would just be like common trash. So just something a little funny there. So they rolled it in. I watched it. I'm like, oh, this is not bad. You know, I thought it was actually not a bad movie for what it was. And then like a few years later, my mother's boyfriend happened to have like the collection on VHS. And I'm like, I'll watch these. And I went through them, and when I got through Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, I laughed my butt off the entire time.
Fantastic.
The best scene is obviously the no ticket scene off the Zeppelin. I think that's definitely my favorite part. I laughed so hard to the point where I paused the movie and called my cousin. I'm just like, have you seen this movie? Have you seen this scene? It's hilarious. And you've got Sean Connery, who's known for, I mean, multiple other roles, but everybody thinks James Bond. And to see him go from like his James Bond character to this old, like retired, like senile old man, basically, that still has a few tricks up his sleeve that surprises you now and again, but annoys you, you know, on the other moments. Like, it was a really good mix of kind of a passing of the torch, you
That
know,
listens
in a
to
way.
women
Not,
talk in their sleep.
yeah, that's 3.
Let's pass the torch.
Yes. I mean, it was a passing of the torch of the flame.
Oh.
So yeah, I think that was the big thing for me, was just seeing that kind of passed off, because it felt like that was Sean Connery saying, okay, you're the new younger guy now that's going to be taking these roles. And I think there was a point. I mean, there's even a scene if you watch younger.
He's the new younger guy. How old was Harrison Ford when he did this movie?
30
1989?
30 something.
Yeah, 30
Was he
something.
really? He was. Oh, he had to be older than that.
Really? 30
No.
something.
No.
Listen to you. No, don't. Oh,
Don't
you're gonna-
do it.
Yeah, you gonna look it up specifically? 1989, how old he was? Go
Nope.
ahead, do that up. So yeah, I just think that at that point, like, he was obviously clearly younger than Sean Connery. So there was a talk at one point that Harrison Ford could have been the new James Bond. That was talked about before Pierce Brosnan. So when they have that scene in Temple of Doom where he's wearing the white tuxedo in the beginning, you know, anything goes over in Cafe Obi-Wan. There's so many little things thrown in there. There's pictures all over the place of both, you know, George Lucas and Steven Spielberg working together to make these movies.
Harrison Ford was 46
46
in 89.
in 89.
Yes,
No way.
he's 80.
Well, that makes sense, Chuck. You're getting close, so.
Wow.
And you still got a lot of life left in you.
Jeez.
You could be Indiana Jones.
No, I couldn't.
Well, but here's the thing, though. Younger. Still younger than Sean Connery. And how old was Sean Connery at the time? You know?
108. But Harrison Ford wanted to play Jack Ryan, which was way better than him being
Oh, yeah.
James Bond.
It made more sense for him, too.
Right.
I mean, it wouldn't make sense for him to be 007. Like, it was brought up. It wasn't something they were planning on doing. It was brought up and there were thoughts.
He
Because...
wouldn't have been a good 007.
No, he wouldn't. So I'm glad they didn't go that route.
What they should have done is brought him in as 006.
Well, what if he was in the bathtub? He'd be 007. What the hell? Why? All right. So anyway, why do I like this movie? I just think it's well rounded. It's got comedy, it's got action, it's got the excitement that you get from anything Star Wars or Lucas.
It's got a double
Um,
romance.
it's got a little love triangle thing going on there, and there's a lot of confusion.
This is
They brought back John Rhys-Davies. His character is Sala, which I know we're talking about this right now, and I guess it's good timing because Dial of Destiny is coming out in a few months. And they again bring back Sala, and he's like very different looking because he's old and he's very skinny, and just looks different than he ever did here. So I think the gags in this are very well put together. I mean, aside from the cuckoo, 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 just the scene where the tank goes over and they think he's dead, and he gets up and he's looking down with them too.
It's fantastic.
It's amazing because he's like, "What are you looking at?" And they're like, "Oh, you're here." Like it's a great shot. I mean, just seeing like the shirt, the look of Harrison Ford looking over, like, yeah, that was something. They're like, "Oh, I guess we're good now. Let's go." And he falls over because he's like dead. Anyway, there are so many little scenes like that I think make this movie good. It's definitely the corniest of the three. First one, was good for what it was. Temple of Doom was like either goofy or just super dark, and then this one had a good balance. So, yeah,
Was the corniest of the three?
This one's the corniest of the three. Yeah, just all the.
This is the best one out of all three of them.
Yeah, I'm saying corny, like the goofiness.
Okay.
Is a lot higher in this one than the others because of the comic relief that's thrown in there,
Right.
with he and his dad.
The dog's name was Indiana.
You were named after the dog.
So, Will, I know you haven't said much, but why don't you like this movie? Because it's obviously where you are going with this, or you would have started off with, "I love this movie, and here's why." So explain why you don't like this movie.
I think Lee touched on it already. To see Sean Connery go from 007 to this is a slap in the face. I cannot stand his character in this movie. Harrison Ford, I want to say Harrison Ford in this movie almost insulted my intelligence. I want to say that about a lot of things in this movie. I want to say a lot of things in this movie almost insults my intelligence. I don't do goofy all that well. I can do comedy. I can do the whole balance thing. I'm fine with that. Star Wars, the original trilogy, fantastic balance. This, way over the top, way goofy. Now, maybe I don't have the nostalgia that the two of you clearly do with this film. I don't have that because I don't have any experience with the Indiana Jones franchise. Never got into it when I was younger. Not gonna get into it after I watch this. I planned on watching all three kind of the way that you introduced me to Star Trek, Chuck, which I loved all three of those movies. They were fantastic. I will not go and watch the other two Indiana Jones movies after watching this. It's way too much.
Oh, wait,
for
you
me.
didn't watch the other ones first?
No, not at all. Not at
Oh,
all.
then you don't.
Not at all. Which is why
So
I
you
was
had a
kind of
whole day to do
confused
it.
why you guys wanted to start with this one. I was like, all right, yeah, sure, whatever, I'll do it. I'll jump on board
We
and be a
said
team
start with
player.
The other ones.
Huh?
Oh, man, it stinks that you didn't start with the other ones. It builds up to this.
It builds up to this.
No, it doesn't.
Well,
It
no,
builds up
it's
to
not like
this.
it builds up to this because, like I said, it starts off one way, and you get these different like feels of all three movies.
No, I'm sorry. The only way that this builds up from Temple of Doom to this, or Raiders of the Lost Ark to this, is Raiders of the Lost Ark happened 4 years earlier. Other than that, none of it ties in
No, it
together.
doesn't tie in.
That's what I'm saying. There's no build up. They are separate stories.
Eh.
It's kind of like Mandalorian right now, where each episode is independent of the entire thing. The only thing that makes this connected is the timeline. Take out the timeline, and they don't connect whatsoever. That's why when they did Kingdom of Crystal Skulls, the only thing that they kept was the timeline. They just got rid of Nazis and they brought in Russia. Where they're going to go next, who knows? But they're in the Cold War right now versus World War II. And then they're going to go into, what's the next one? The Destiny, whatever it's called. That's going to be Middle East probably,
Yeah.
if he's still alive. But it's they're just keeping up with the historical timeline. Outside of that, none of it connects because you have no idea who his father is prior to this movie. You have a love interest in every
Really?
single movie.
Really? So there's no talk of Sean Connery in the other two films?
No,
That's wild.
he has a different love interest in every single movie except for Kingdom of Crystal Skulls. They bring it back to Raiders. Yeah, that's it. So they're not really connected at all, except Indiana Jones is played by Harrison Ford.
Other than all that, I really don't have a whole lot to say about this. Like blind going into it, it took me a while to get through this film. I had to pause it. I had to walk away. I had to do something else. I just had to get away from it for a while. The scene that you were talking about where he gets thrown overboard in the Zeppelin and no ticket, I've seen that a million other places before. At least now I know where it originated from.
Yes, exactly.
At least now I know where it originates from, which is cool. I just the whole situation is ridiculous on every level. I can't take anything in this movie seriously.
I feel like you would have appreciated this movie better if you watched the other two first. And that's kind of why I'm disappointed.
I don't think I would. Hang on. Let me finish. I don't think. Let me finish. I don't think I would have, because one of my primary complaints about this movie is Harrison Ford. I don't relate to his character. I don't sympathize with his character at all. I can't take Harrison Ford serious in this role, even a little bit. I can't do it. It's unbelievable. It's not. I can't sink my teeth into him here at all. I cannot do it. I much prefer him in Star Wars. Even when he does his serious roles, like The Fugitive, or even like Air Force One, fantastic job in both of those movies. Here, the goofy professor that goes off to fight whoever and Nazis and gets it, and with the whip, it all kind of just falls really flat for me. And again,
so I want to know. I want to know. Hold on. I want to know from Lee. I like all three movies, but how would watching the other two build up to this movie? I'm trying to wrap my head around what your thought process is.
I just feel like he would understand his character more, and the stuff that he went through. It just there's more.
Don't worry about spoiling anything. Don't worry about spoiling anything for me.
It's not about spoiling anything. No, 'cause you're not gonna watch them. I know.
I'm not. So I'm asking you, give me an example from the first movie, the second movie that would lead to this.
So I feel like, if anything, he would probably like Temple of Doom the most. I feel like Will would appreciate that one more. But he didn't watch it.
Why?
So, but this is the thing, is like, if this one was the goofy one and you're not into the goofiness, the over-the-top goofiness here, you would have liked to see, oh, okay, and then you can say, well, you know what? I didn't like this one as much as I liked, Temple of Doom or Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Have you seen King Kong with
Which
Jack
one?
Black?
Yeah.
With Jack
Horrible.
Black.
No. Whoa. Which one was that?
Steven Spielberg's.
Oh,
right?
yeah,
no,
yeah.
Sorry, not Spielberg. It was
King Kong.
What's his face?
He wants to do the recording, and he goes to
Peter Jackson.
Peter Jackson. Yeah, he goes to Skull Island, obviously.
Yes. Skull Island?
But you see the girl. You see the girl hanging.
No, not Skull Island. We're talking about King Kong.
He just said they go to Skull Island.
Yeah, they go to Skull Island, not the movie Skull Island. He's talking about King Kong, the one that Peter Jackson
came out.
did
The
with
one that
Jack
came out in
Black.
the 2000s.
The one that came out
yes,
in 2000.
It's like a 2.5 hour long video.
Yeah.
Movie.
Yeah.
Jack Black, and he's the filmmaker.
Oh yeah,
And
yes.
You got Adrian Brody, who is like the film star. You know how when they're sacrificing her to
Naomi
King
Watts,
Kong,
yeah.
and she gets, she's all tied up and she's getting lowered down and just hanging there for Kong to grab her and then go eat her.
Yeah.
That's Temple of Doom. It's just she's in an open casket and she's over a pit of like lava. That's Temple of Doom. Same thing.
You signing off on that, Lee?
Say again?
She gets put into an open casket and lowered over the volcano.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Yeah, it is the same thing.
Same exact thing.
Okay. Oh, okay.
So you've seen Temple of Doom. That's it.
Eh,
That's Temple of Doom. With bugs.
hang on. Lee, should I watch
Mhm.
Temple of Doom?
I just thought you were gonna watch all three.
Okay. But should I watch
I would
Temple of
wa-
Doom?
If you don't like this, it's already tainted. That's all I'm gonna say.
Okay.
If you
That's all I
did it
needed
in
to know.
order, if you did it in order, I think you would have had a different taste in your mouth. When going into this movie,
I didn't
going
watch it.
into it blind, I just feel like you didn't get the full effect.
I feel like
I-
the only
I-
reason
I-
I feel like the only reason why somebody would watch this movie today and like it is because of people like you who would build up the nostalgia factor.
Correct. I agree with that. But I watched, this was the first Indiana Jones movie I watched, and I still watched all three of them. And I still like this one the best. I'm an Indiana Jones fan. I'm not like crazy about it, but I enjoy the films. I'm just lost as to how watching the first two would build up to this movie. That's what I don't get.
It's just him understanding more of the character. That's all I was getting at.
He's the same in all three
I
movies.
understand that. He's saying he doesn't relate to the character.
Not at all.
Having more opportunities to understand his character earlier on might have helped with that. In a positive way or in a negative way. I'm just saying, like, it would have changed the perspective. If I watched this movie by itself, I'd be like, what am I watching? I'll be honest, not having a background and knowing who this is and how it like eventually became this like buddy cop type, not buddy cop, but
And here's okay. So maybe I should be a little bit more specific with what I'm saying when I say I don't relate to the character all that much. So the whole premise behind this movie is the Nazis are trying to get the chalice, right? Meanwhile, you have Indy and his dad playing slapstick.
Yep.
The situation seems a little bit more dire than this.
Yeah. But
The slapstick does not seem to be necessary in some areas.
hmm
That's why I can't relate to this character. Much
Right.
like my problems, we talked about this in The Mandalorian, much like my problems with people like Will Ferrell, my problems with Kevin Hart, where you have a comedian or you have an actor that doesn't really know how to turn it off or be even keeled in certain situation. That's the feeling I get from Harrison Ford in this movie. There is a baseline to Harrison Ford throughout this entire movie, and it doesn't fluctuate up or down no matter the situation that he's in. Getting chased by Nazis, he's the same. Getting ready to get into a bed with a beautiful blonde, he's the same. Missing his dad and wanting daddy, he's the same. There's no up or down with his character throughout this movie. It's slapstick from beginning to end.
in the other movies,
He's the same.
no, it's not slapsticky though.
Because Sean Connery's not in it, but he's
That's
the
my
same.
point. That's what makes this different. You take the character that's been built up in two movies.
Okay, so I
and
don't
then
take Sean Connery as slapstick in this movie. I take him as Lisa, a senile old man.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, you took the character like Indiana Jones was built up. So that's when you get those lines, just like Indiana was a dog's name, and Sala starts laughing. They almost turned Indiana Jones here into a child because his elder was present. That's for blasphemy. Like that whole thing is like he's putting Indiana in his place after two movies where Indiana Jones was like, yeah, he made mistakes, but he was also still the hero and he was getting through all this stuff. Here, they took him down a few pegs because
And
his
then
dad
build
was
him back
there.
out.
And then they build him
Lee's,
back up.
Lee's making a very valid point right now that I didn't think about before.
Yeah.
That's valid.
So you're coming into it with him being taken down, and you're like, but I don't even know who he is to be brought down, and that's why I'm a little disappointed.
In
I'm
the
not gonna
first,
keep on going on this. But
no, it's fine. If what you're saying is true, and in the first two movies he is very much the adult and the hero, maybe you're right. Maybe you have a point, but you're right. Here it was slapstick and very much Sean Connery putting him in his place.
yes,
I didn't think
and
about that.
was
I
not
didn't
what the
think
other two
about.
movies were about.
Yeah, I didn't think about that before, but you're absolutely right. That might be another problem that I'm having.
Great, I articulated it finally because that's what I was trying to get at. So, you're not seeing that? The only thing that made him childish in the other movies was his fear of snakes. And it was a little like, that's weird.
Okay, so he has a fear of
Fear
snakes.
of snakes in the other two movies.
Mhm.
He doesn't come up with that until this movie.
No, that's not true. He doesn't like snakes in the first movie. In Raiders, he has an issue with snakes.
Where?
In the pit of snakes.
In Raiders?
Yes. That's why they started off this movie with the snake thing.
But
That
he
wasn't
wasn't
like a
He wasn't really afraid of snakes.
not until he fell into snakes here.
Yeah, but-
so it's a joke on the other movies because we knew that the one thing that he can't deal with is snakes.
Why am I not thinking of the snake?
The snake pit. Like he's going to rescue her, and he's hanging down the rope, and they have to use fire to keep the snakes away, and they're walking through the sand in the middle of the ancient
So in one of the
tomb.
previous movies, they established that he has a fear of snakes.
Correct.
I didn't get that here
That's
at
why
all.
this. Right, because in the beginning of this movie, it starts off with him being a kid. And he goes, "It's just a snake," and he throws it off, and it's like
Then he falls into the basket.
then he falls into the basket
bucket.
of snakes, and they're
Right.
somehow saying like that's what created his fear of snakes.
Right.
So that was just a nod to the character we've known for two other movies.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, that was the whole point. That's why they opened it like that.
I get that, but I just don't remember because they recreated that in this movie when he's in the sewer with the rats.
Yeah, rats he wasn't so much worried about though.
I
He wasn't like afraid of them. He just dealt with them.
I'm just not remembering in Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yeah.
Is this when he's going down to actually and he's inside the tomb where he's gonna use the staff to find where the
Yeah, and as soon as he finds that, they lock him in, and he's trying to get back out, and the snakes and everything. Yeah,
I'll have to rewatch it.
yeah.
I don't remember that part. I do remember in Temple of Doom when they're walking through the tunnel and she's like the wall is moving
Oh yeah,
and then they use they do a torch and it's just bugs
oh yeah.
lining the
Oh, yeah.
walls. It's disgusting.
But he's not worried about the bugs so much. Even sticking his hand in the thing, I'm like, I would not do that. You don't know what's in that hole.
That's why even like in Kingdom of Crystal Skulls when he's like he's got bit by a scorpion, he's like, is it a big one or a small one? Like I don't care. I got stabbed by a scorpion.
Right.
Or surviving a nuclear blast in a
We
refrigerator.
don't talk about that movie. All right. I already let you go too far.
Yeah. Well, he survives a nuclear blast by hiding in a lead-lined
Lead-lined
refrigerator.
He runs away from his captors and runs into a town nearby. Then you realize it's a nuclear test site, and he's in like a fake home. So all he does is take everything out of the fridge and hop in the fridge, and then kaboom! And suddenly you see this refrigerator fly across the desert, and then
Far,
like really far, like up in the air, like something
flipping. It's horrible.
and then all of a sudden the door pushes open, he rolls out, stands up, dusts off his hat, and then goes "Whew," and then walks away.
Walks up the hill and sees this giant mushroom cloud. And he's right there. He's right there.
Now, interesting fact about that scene. Can't believe we're talking about this. That the reason why they did that was a nod to the original Back to the Future ending. So the original Back to the Future story did not have a car as the time machine. It was actually built out of something. It was built out of a fridge or something like that.
A hot tub.
Yeah. No, it was so the whole point was they needed the atomic energy in order to send him back home. So the idea was that he brought what he needed into a nuclear test site to get blown up to be sent back home. And that idea was scrapped, but Spielberg's like, remember this idea I had for Back to the Future? Let's just throw it in Indiana Jones,
So dumb.
30-something years later. So they did, and it was like, oh, so that's the only reason it was there. And it's super goofy.
I was talking to somebody.
Clarifying question. I'm sorry. Does he survive anything ridiculous in the first two movies? Very simple, yes or no.
Like everything.
Okay.
I mean,
Yes.
Okay.
Close
As
your
re-
eyes. Yeah, just close your. That's all I'm gonna say is just close your eyes.
I don't. Okay. Okay.
In Raiders of the Lost Ark, he's tied up, and the bad guy opens the Ark of the Covenant, and out of it comes all these evil spirits, and all he tells is, what's her name? He says, "Close your eyes." And they close their eyes, and the evil spirits go around, and they start melting the faces off all the bad guys.
In that scene, I forgot how exactly how they said they did that scene with the face melting, but it's nuts. It was really cool. I mean, it looks goofy if you look at it now for like
Right.
today's standards, but back then that was like giving people nightmares.
Oh, of course.
Oh yeah, like just faces were melting, literally faces melting. It was like some kind of gelatin that they were using, and they were just melting it with hot flames.
Well, yeah, he closes his eyes and he survives.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the big ending, but I mean, there's other stuff that he goes through that's ridiculous.
Of course, he's Indiana Jones.
Yeah. But okay. Oh, here's something you'll appreciate, Will. You know the scene in Batman '89 where so the guy comes up with all the blades, with the blades, he's like, and he's like spinning around, and Batman just kicks him,
Mm-hmm.
and that's it. Like the guy's done with one kick.
Yep.
That's from Indiana Jones, Raiders of the Lost Ark.
As you see this guy go with two
This guy
swords,
comes-
he's like, what? And,
So-
and he takes out his gun, just goes bang.
He just takes out a gun and just like he's sitting there like ready to fight him, and he just goes, huh? And he just stands up, pulls out his gun, shoots him, and just turns around like nothing happened.
It's fantastic.
And it was not originally in the script. He said it as a joke. What if I just did this? And they're like, yeah, let's just see what happens. They did it and like that. That was brilliant. We're gonna throw it in there, and it became one of the best parts of that entire movie.
Yeah.
And then again, they paid tribute to it with Batman.
So
anyway, just to,
Originally, I fully prepared on ripping this movie to shreds. But after listening to the two of you talk, maybe there are things that I'm missing from the original two films. Maybe there's things that I'm missing just because of nostalgia. I don't think I'm going to go as hard on this as I went on Superman 4. I'm basically just going to go through the movie and comment on what I like. I'm mostly going to leave the bulk of this conversation up to the two of you since you have the history with everything. Don't worry about spoiling anything for me. I really don't care. It is what it is. I can't get on board with it, but there is a number of reasons why that might be. Maybe, big maybe one day I'll take Lee's advice and I'll go watch Temple of Doom. Maybe. But
it might be. I'm just saying it might be tainted just because you watched this one first.
I
but-
watched this one first.
hang
though.
on. Because you've known me so long, you know what I like, you know what I don't like. The fact that the first thing out of your mouth was, I think you would enjoy Temple, I would go with your gut. So I might take you up on that offer. I might watch it.
I think you would like it because Temple of Doom is kind of like the one that people go, that was weird. Like it's just it's not. It doesn't seem
Doesn't-
like it fits.
Doesn't fit. It's,
in
not,
the
it's not the
trilogy.
same style as the other two.
Yeah, it's definitely
Raiders
very
is
different.
a lot more like this than Temple of Doom is.
Yeah,
Temple of Doom's dark.
Okay, so
Yeah.
here's the thing. I tried to watch Raiders once. I fell asleep and I just didn't try again.
yeah.
I like.
Did you
Raiders.
notice that Alfred Molina is in the first scene? He's like the little the guide who's like walking in with them in the first scene of Indiana Jones.
Wow. Good for
It's Alfred Molina. Yeah,
Good for Doc Ock.
good for Doc.
Good for him.
The
Anyways,
guy- the kid who plays what's his name in Temple of Doom is the guy who
Ki
plays.
Kwan.
He plays in Everything, Everywhere, All at Once.
Yes.
right?
yeah,
yes,
that was
Fanny
going
Pack.
around all over the internet during the Oscars.
Oh, it's
the two
huge.
hugging and everything.
Huge.
Yeah, it was.
Mhm.
I mean, it's really cool that they got to do the
It
same
is
thing 30-something years later. Great. Or would it be 40
Yep.
years at this point? When did when that movie
30
come
years
out?
is 30 years.
No,
What?
I don't think
You
so.
talking about Temple of Doom? More than 30.
Yeah,
Well,
what to
it's
say?
not 40. It was in the 80s.
Well, if you think this was 89,
come
Temple
on
of Doom
now.
was before that.
Go ahead. was that?
1983 was 40 years ago. So
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh wow, it was 83.
no, I'm saying what year did Temple come out?
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay,
Oh, wow.
whatever.
After Jedi, so
Yeah, after.
Yeah.
Oh, it came out after Jedi. Okay, so it's under 40.
I believe.
So it's under 40. Because Jedi came out in what, 86? I think Jedi came out
No,
the
I
year I
thought
was
Jedi,
born.
Jedi came out in 83.
Did it?
Yeah.
Yeah, 77,
out?
80, and 83.
Yep. And then Temple of Doom came out in 84.
Okay. So it's 39 years old. So it's almost 40.
That's like saying I'm 50.
I'm
Whatever.
not saying
Keep
you're
going.
50. I've never
No,
made
Lee
fun of
is.
your age. Lee makes fun of your age.
You've never made fun of my age.
No,
No, you're right. It's always been Lee.
it's always been Lee. I don't make fun of your age. Listen. The one thing that I hope you're learning about me. I'll attack your opinions all day, but the personal stuff I'll leave. I won't do that. You know.
Your opinion sucks. You're cool.
Yeah,
though.
your opinion about Mama's Boy is garbage. Anyways, so.
Hey everybody, Lee from Black and White Reviews here. Just wanted to take a moment to thank you for tuning in, checking out our conversation. If you like this discussion and you want to hear more about this specific subject or other things, check us out on our podcasting sites, whether it's Spotify, Apple Music, or Google Podcasts. We're up on pretty much all of them. So yeah, thanks again for popping by, and be sure to like and subscribe. Thanks.